Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning. Joining us now, our great friend James Herson, joining us from jamesherson.com. Good to have you back, sir.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
How did we ever get to a point where our entertainers became so separated from the people that pay their salaries? You know, when we have the Oscars or the Grammys, they don't really represent, mainstream America, the flyover country. How did that ever happen?
Well, it's not just the entertainment business. If you look at what has happened in almost every institution that communicates via media, I mean, we look at what's happened in sports with the NFL. We look what's happened at ESPN, and of course, the cable news of CNN, MSNBC, and even the print news, Washington Post in particular. And remember Newsweek magazine, when it used to be a part of what people relied upon for news? I mean, Newsweek magazine is just a step away from The Onion. And so, Hollywood, which was always liberal, was stunned and is in a similar position as the news media. They no longer have the same kind of blacklist in Hollywood. For a while during, especially during the Bush presidency, but during the Obama presidency, there was a blacklist that was known for people who were Republicans and people who were conservatives and who pursued orthodox religious beliefs or, traditional religious beliefs. But now it's changed, and the blacklist is anyone who is not anti-Trump is on the blacklist. You must be anti-Trump. If you're neutral towards Donald Trump, you're on the blacklist. So it's changed all the institutions, but the public is starting to weigh in because, we see the NFL tickets are down. I saw the site of my hometown in Chicago actually having almost half the stadium empty, which is unheard of in a sports-crazed town like Chicago, where I went to see the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field when there was 15 below wind chill, and they were losing. So, it's amazing. And then, of course, in Hollywood, the size of the audience that goes to see movies is at a 20-year low. It's been falling for 15 years. And the only reason that the monetary gross is even close to what it used to be is because they keep raising their prices for a smaller audience to go see various forms of 3D or go to luxury theaters or just pay higher ticket prices. So that's a part of it. And it's the culture in Hollywood now. They all breathe the same air and they go to the same social gatherings, and they believe their own gurus that tell them things. And it's done tremendous harm to this wonderful brand of entertainment, which was associated with the image and name of generic Hollywood, which has been damaged so badly. And then you add this scandal, which started with Harvey Weinstein. And it is clearly the worst kind of any scandal that's hit the entertainment business ever. And Hollywood's stunned by that. And of course, this is a town that has promoted amoral lifestyles, and they've done it with their content and with their examples. And so it is thoroughly predictable that if you have men in power in the entertainment business, they would act out those same values that the town has been promoting. And so they're trying to deal with it the way Hollywood always does, strictly with PR, image, and superficiality. And I don't think it's working at all.
Our great friend James Herson joining us, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get back to the NFL for a minute. By the way, you can reach him at jamesherson.com. And how did we go from incredible ratings to what they were down 20-30% from last week's playoffs? So what has happened to the NFL, and do you ever think they'll be as popular as they once were?
Well, I think they could. I mean, I'm a lifetime football fan, and I did not watch football this year, and it was and I suffered some NFL withdrawal on Sunday, but thanks to college football, it wasn't too bad. But I'll say that, could they ever come back? I think they could. They need to get Mike Ditka to be commissioner. They certainly need to get rid of Roger Goodell, but I understand they renewed his contract. Doesn't sound to me like the ownership of the NFL is moving in the right direction. And so I don't think it's going to happen. But obviously Colin Kaepernick and Roger Goodell executed a plan to destroy the NFL's image and to send them spiraling. Because look, it's the same thing. When people watch a football game, they're escaping, in a sense, from the everyday workaday world, and really from things that are controversial. And the last thing they want to do is be preached to, and worst of all, to be insulted. And that's what happened when people, veterans and citizens in this country went to an NFL game and saw players essentially disrespecting what is a very important ceremony that has always been part of sports. It's part of Olympics. It's part of every championship. I mean, can you imagine? We've not seen a Super Bowl where players basically dissed our national anthem when we have, military jets flying overhead. If that happens, I think the NFL will really suffer in the next season, and it's well deserved. It comes from the ownership on down, and so, this is beauty of free enterprise. We have an off switch. And the same things happen in Hollywood. When you think about the award shows, people would go, basically they go to watch celebrities to see how they're dressing and maybe to see if their favorite films would win. And the award shows have been intolerable, insufferable to watch for a very large percentage of Americans, which is why their ratings are falling. And now the award show, with this guilt and shame that is felt by virtually all the people in Hollywood that worked with either Harvey Weinstein's companies or worked closely with some of the other people that had numerous serious allegations like Kevin Spacey, they're feeling guilt. So they want to show that they're not part of that enabling group, but they're part of the Me Too movement. It culminated at the Golden Globes Awards, where the participants who were female, who walked the red carpet, or were presenters dressed in black, like a funeral, that somehow communicated their sensitivity. And one of those women, Oprah Winfrey, made a condescending speech full of cliches and diatribes taken out of a feminist manifesto, and the mainstream media anointed her as the next savior of the left. And immediately on the internet and social media, all these pictures appeared of Oprah Winfrey in various forms of affection with Harvey Weinstein. Pictures that you couldn't argue with, of Oprah kissing Harvey, hugging Harvey, introducing Harvey to young women. And lo and behold, Oprah's best friend Gayle King came out and said, she may not be running after all. And so she really personifies the hypocrisy and the utter phoniness of this community when it talks about their sensitivity to women now all of a sudden. And here's a good example of it. They boast, and the Academy boasts, that they've kicked Harvey Weinstein out. He's no longer a member, they say. But guess who is still a member? Roman Polanski, a man who's essentially convicted of sexual assault of a minor, and Woody Allen, with all kinds of credible allegations against him for sexual impropriety and running off with his own adopted daughter, which resulted really in the motivation that Ronan Farrow had in doing the research that basically scooped and brought forth this story in the first place. So Hollywood is full of contradictions. I mean, the clear example is the Academy Awards upcoming will be hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a representative for the sensitivity of women, a man who virtually destroyed late night comedy and turned it into an opinion show and doesn't ever talk about the Me Too movement or sexual harassment because he himself was a co-creator of The Man Show, and he was involved with a show that would be sort of the television version of the Howard Stern radio show. And it was basically set up to do everything that the Me Too movement would hate, including a contest called Guess What's in My Pants.
Well, and then they would have women, bouncing on the trampolines and such. That's a great point here at KIDO Talk Radio. Why haven't people brought up the Man Show and Kimmel's involvement in that?
Well, I mean, people on the internet and social media has, but the Academy Awards just decide selectively when they're going to align themselves with the Me Too movement. I mean, it's okay to wear pins and to wear certain colors. It's really strange. They're a land of contradictions, as I said in my latest piece. The SAG Awards are coming on Sunday, and people in broadcasting, you may be a member because AFTRA and SAG merged,
Right.
but they have a very large group of people that vote for these things, and they're hosted by Kristen Bell, and everyone involved is going to be a woman, and that's the way that the Screen Actors Guild is showing. See, we're really sensitive. Problem for them and for the Oscars is that James Franco, who's winning awards right and left, he won a Golden Globes, he won a Critics Award, which is a very important show, is nominated for the SAG, probably will get an Oscar nomination. And James Franco has a bunch of sexual harassment and sexual impropriety allegations against him, partially due to an investigative report from the Los Angeles Times. And, it's amazing. They'll digitally erase Kevin Spacey from a movie he's coming out with, and then they will pick Jimmy Kimmel to be a host, and James Franco might end up winning. Like last year, Casey Affleck, Ben Affleck's little brother, won an Oscar. And if he were to win this year, for example, it would be a major controversy because Casey Affleck has a couple of sexual harassment lawsuits that he settled out of court, and there's a lot of buzz about that. So it's the usual thing. And I guess it's part of the left. The left seems to have no trouble with hypocrisy, with cognitive dissonance. They don't mind. And maybe that's because, particularly in Hollywood, the people on the left don't use brains. They everything, look, these are people that are stock and trade, is showing emotion, crying on cue. And so they really don't think they emote. So in that sense, Oprah Winfrey appears for them to be the perfect candidate because Oprah has always been the queen of emotion. And, it amazes me because Oprah has, if all of her dirt starts coming out, Fusion GPS goes after Oprah. I say that. If Joe Biden's opposition research, Kamala Harris's, Andrew Cuomo, Elizabeth Warren, it will be vicious. And what will come out will destroy Oprah Winfrey's carefully honed image. One of the things that people don't talk about with Oprah is that she has been the number one purveyor of anyone who's ever existed of empty, new age, kooky religious philosophy,
right,
devoid of morality, and also new age medical advice. I mean, and there's at least one woman who's died from following what Oprah recommended on her show with this sort of, if you think it, it will be, and she went off her meds and died. But the key thing is there's a lot of young people that have been influenced by Oprah as an apostle of amorality, no morals, and this really sick self-esteem movement that she preaches, which is not good for our society. I definitely do not view Oprah the way the left does as some sort of positive influence. I say it's contra. I think Oprah's been a destructive influence in our civilization.
James Herson, we appreciate you. JamesHerson.com. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. You have a great week, great weekend.
Okay, thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, always appreciate James Herson joining us. Let's go to Andrew with Givens Hot Springs at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Andrew.
Hey, Kevin.
Hi, thanks for your patience.
Yes, I just want to talk about government spending. It seems like we're spending more money and getting nothing out of it.
Well, yeah, it comes down to the ROI. Look, how many of us could get, 2-3 months off a year and, whether we do our job, we continue to keep it. You take a look at government right now and, we're on the edge of a government shutdown. A lot of people think it's not going to be a big deal, but it will impact us. It sends the wrong message. And, Andrew, if you don't go to work and perform, heck, if I don't go to work perform, well, we'll be finding different jobs.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? I was thinking about if the government did shut down, how it would probably not hurt the people that want to shut it down. All the people in the Senate, they're not going to be affected by it.
Nancy Pelosi will not, that's for sure. You're right.
And add to that, we keep talking about the military spending part of this government shutdown. Do you know how much other countries spend on their military by comparison with us? It's insane. They're spending 3 or 4 times as much money. Like China, they're way outspending our military by like 2 arms and 7 legs. It's crazy.
They are ramping up, and, we're the only folks here in the Treasure Valley at KIDO Talk Radio that address that. But you're right. And, eventually you can sit in your, world of unicorns and rainbows, and all of a sudden, it numbers don't lie. It's going to hit. That's why the Russians seem emboldened, the Chinese seem emboldened, because they see us on a down cycle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they look at us as a bunch of pansies. I mean, we're not spending money on our military. We're betraying them. We can't even get together on a government spending bill, and here they all are. They're all united. They're moving on one smooth march, and we're all divided, fighting each other. And, that's why even like Kim Jong-un, they all feel like they're emboldened because they see us divided.
You're right. Andrew, thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up is California in open revolt against Donald Trump. Boy, how's that for a Friday? Better that than on a Monday. Let's go to...
You guys hold on.
Let's go to...
You hold on. I'm on the phone.
Let's go to Ronnie in Caldwell with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Ronnie.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I was just yelling at somebody trying to tell me I couldn't make a call right now. I said, I'm punching out. If I have to, I'd punch out and make a call to the Millie Show. Hey, I'm pretty fried up right now, if you can't tell, dude. Who's that guy that just called in and was talking a bunch of smack about the Man Show and girls jumping on trampolines and stuff?
That was our friend James Herson.
He's no friend of mine, by the way. That's one of the best shows that's ever been on TV. And if you've never seen it, I encourage you to go do some research on YouTube and check it out, dude. They did a lot of fun stuff on there.
Well, it's not on TV anymore.
Because of what reason? I don't know. I have no idea, but it was probably the single best, other than the Dukes of Hazzard and Magnum P.I., dude. There's really nothing that was much better, ever.
Well, wait a minute. We live in different times today, Ronnie. I mean, you can't sit there and have people, young ladies, jumping on trampolines and being a male chauvinist pig.
How does that make you a male chauvinist pig?
That's exploiting women.
No, it's not. It's some of life's simple pleasures, dude. It's so fun to watch that, and they had a couple beers on the show and stuff. So what? That's
not
what
anymore.
Dudes do.
Not anymore.
I know.
It's over.
That's the thing that's got me so fried, and
yeah. Why are you upset about? Why are you upset about it? I mean, you're a sensitive guy now. You're changing with the times.
And some things I'm willing to change about, but like the transgenders at Walmart, I don't even say anything anymore. I just let them go on their merry way.
I'm sure they appreciate that.
I think they do. I don't know. It's really creepy, but Yeah, dude, I think everything's just falling apart, and men aren't going to be able to be men anymore, and I'm worried that they're just going to make it so boring that every guy's just going to check out. They've even ruined football, dude. What's next, NASCAR?
Some would say NASCAR was done when Jeff Gordon left.
You've got a point there, dude. I know. It's never been the same. Just everything's getting down on it's coming down on the men, and if I were you, I would definitely man up a little bit. If you're getting a little bit soft, and I think you need to harden up.
Well, thank you, Ronnie.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm fired up, and if that guy calls again, you bet I'll be calling right after him to square him up. As a matter of fact, if you want to put on a debate, if him and I, mano a mano, I will take him on.
Ronnie, we appreciate it. Thank you.
And God bless those girls in bikinis. Over and out.
Traffic and weather together. And let's find out what's happening in your world at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. Quickly to Rachel Sutherland. We thank her for her patience here at Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. We're counting down the minutes. Is it over for the government? Rachel, good morning.
You know, it's serious when all the networks have the government shutdown clocks ticking in the right-hand corner. And we are awaiting a White House news briefing. It's not understood that the president will be there, but rather Mark Short, who is the director for legislative affairs, and maybe some other White House officials as the Senate gets ready to gavel in here in about 30 minutes and start arguing again about the spending bill. And when it comes down to the numbers, it looks like this government shutdown tonight at midnight is a foregone conclusion unless something were to happen, some kind of parliamentary hat trick. Other than that, with Democrats threatening to filibuster because there's not a fix for DACA, that would raise the threshold to 60 votes. But even if they don't do that, there are 3 Republicans threatening to vote against this budget deal, which would kill it right there. Those 3 Republicans are Lindsey Graham, Jeff Flake, and Rand Paul. So you have there. I just don't see how you work the math to get this to happen in time. It looks like this is basically the government's going to turn to a pumpkin at midnight.
Well, people have been expecting and speculating on the ramifications of this. Any good theories that you can share with us, if it's going to be good for the Democrats or the Republicans or no one?
Well, it may not be bad for anyone. It depends on how long it lasts, how much of an impact it has. The Democrats could actually use this to their advantage in the midterms and say, we tried to do everything we could for the Dreamers, and look at those Republicans, those heartless Republicans are going to deport people. They are deporting people that sight unseen to countries they don't even know the language. So they could use this. Republicans could also use it in the midterms and say, look how unreasonable the Democrats have been. And they shut us down when we were trying to work with them. So again, it's going to depend on how long this lasts. If it's a blip and it lasts a couple of days through the weekend, I don't think it has that much of an impact at all. If it continues, like the one back in 2013, I believe lasted more than 12 days, maybe 16 days. I need to look back over the history, and that really had an impact. Remember all the signs that were up at the memorials in Washington. You couldn't go visit them. We're hearing from sources that the White House is not going to handle it that way, that they felt like that was theater. And, you know, I've lived around Washington my whole life. I've shown family members these memorials, and I kind of agree that they don't need tender loving care every day. You can pretty much just walk up to them. It's like trying to keep people from, looking at a mountain. So, they're going to handle it differently. They're going to be quieter about it. But the bottom line, this does affect the military. And, Kevin, if it goes into next week with the President's State of the Union, that fortress over there at the Capitol, those people guarding the President and keeping him safe will be working without pay.
Yeah, we've had quite the conversation here, people thinking that we didn't, it wasn't going to be an impact, but it will. Rachel, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, our great friend Rachel Sutherland. Let's go to Pro-Life with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, on these debt authorizations, I believe those go back to some kind of an agreement between the private Federal Reserve Bank, which loans money to the federal government. And I'd like to have somebody just explain what document that is in, because we've been doing this for years and years. So obviously when we borrow money as a federal government, we have to, our Congress, according to some kind of agreement, has to agree so that the Federal Reserve Bank knows that we're good for the money. And so I'd like to have somebody explain that to me. And but anyway, we're $20 trillion in debt. and that doesn't even include future entitlements. I think the Democrats are obviously wanting to have a shutdown so they can blame it on the Republicans, but they think that the media can carry them through this, and the media lying for them. And I think the Republicans ought to call them on it and just say, yeah, let's just shut it down, and we're going to blame it on you guys because you're trying to tie DACA to this. It doesn't have anything to do with.
Well, the problem, though, is the media is going to take the Democratic side.
Yeah, of course. That's the.
And you have people that are afraid of the media. Are you afraid of the media?
No, and the Republicans should not be. If they fight back right now, and if they show the public and the Democrats that they've broken the media, I guess you'd say the media being in bed with the Democrats, and then the whole nation recognizes that and knows that they're biased. Well,
I think most of the nation is biased when it comes to the media. Look, here's the skinny here at KIDO Talk Radio.
Yeah.
Look, when Nancy Pelosi says this
is like giving you bowl of doggy do, put a cherry on top, and call it a chocolate sundae. This is nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like she's afraid of the media.
No, she's not afraid of the media. But she should be afraid of the American people. And if the Democrats find out that the American people are not listening to the media and to their baloney, well, then it all gets turned around, and it's going to happen sooner or later because they're liars. The Democrats and the media are big liars. And so we might as well just take it on right now. Why wait for another crisis?
There's a vote for inclusion there. Pro-life, thank you.
All right.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. We go to Tea Party Bob from the Gem State Patriot. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Surprisingly optimistic, a little feisty Friday here.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. A lot of contentious people on the phone.
People are fired up about this government shutdown.
Well, I have a few words about the shutdown, or should I say the non-shutdown. When you look at it realistically, this is basically the Democrats saying to the country, if you're not going to do it our way, we're going to make things difficult for you to pay the military. Because those are the ones that are really going to be affected. There's not an awful lot of other things that are really affected. When you come right down to it, their only objective is to get more illegal voters on the rolls to help them in the future elections. So this is very critical for them. As I said earlier this year, this week, we're going to see a lot of the Democrats lose their seats in this coming election as Americans go to the polls and they start voting their wallets because they're going to see their paychecks bigger and there's a little bit more money in there. And just one quick thought about something Tommy Ahlquist said about 1/3 of Idahoans being in poverty. The next governor of Idaho needs to listen to the caller that talked about property taxes that have been rising dramatically and figure out how to keep seniors in their homes as these taxes continue to move up. 7% of the seniors in this state have annual incomes of less than $10,000 and 26% less than $20,000. 19% of Idaho residents.
Right, but you see, that's what it's going to come down to. They're going to scare the old people. They're going to scare everybody else. And that's what I was trying to say earlier on when TC called in and yelled at me. Look, it's going to be a scare tactic, but they're going to start cutting people's salaries that, protect it. They'll get their salaries back, but how many of us that live paycheck to paycheck could afford to take a couple weeks off without being compensated? It's the uncomfortable meter. And their idea, their idea is, well, the Republicans have the majority; they should have no problem. Well, whatever happened to bipartisanship?
There is no bipartisanship. Don't you get that? There is none anyplace. It doesn't even happen in our legislature. Do you see that happening here?
I don't really see the Democrats as being credible here at all. I mean, look, that's just not being petty. That's scoreboard. I mean, what do they have? 10% of the vote?
The votes? You're talking about the people who say they're Democrats, but you're not talking about the Republicans who really are Democrats.
Well, maybe you
when you look at their voting records, that's what it comes down to.
Maybe you should out them.
We have done that. We're going to do some more of that.
More expose, more journalism. You see, you're going to get the folks at the Idaho Press Club stirred up if you continue on with this stuff.
You mean that good old gal, Betsy Russell, and her conniving with the
wow.
What I call the inert Democrats that claim to be Republicans, like Lurcher.
Well, now that is that's an allegation, sir.
Oh no! You could see the two of them conspiring. Read the story.
She was interviewing people. That's on Facebook from
Yes.
Representative Giddings. By the way, we did ask Representative Giddings to come on, and thanks to you, but she was busy that day.
Do you remember when I was testifying and our good friend Russell texted our good friend Patty Ann Lodge, and next thing you know, I was cut off?
Well, you didn't have your facts together, according to the story.
Really? I have the tape. I'll send it to you.
I remember watching that live. Tea Party Bob, thank you for the call, sir.
Have a good day.
All right. Always blessed to speak with our friend Tea Party Bob. Phone lines are open for your consideration, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Tom in Nampa with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Kevin. Question. Does that mean if there's a government shutdown, the Congress critters and the senatorial things don't get paid? If, let's say, the top 1/3 of all federal government employees, their paychecks stopped with a government shutdown, think that might motivate them?
I think it would motivate them, and maybe there should be some legislation when there is a government shutdown that the first people that are impacted are the folks responsible for that, i.e. Congress.
That would kind of seem like a good idea, because I've often felt that the American taxpayer can do without the government a lot better than the government can do without the American taxpayer.
I really like that idea where, look, with all due respect to the staff and everyone else, because you're not going to be happy if your staff's not happy, so the staff doesn't get paid, the elected officials don't get paid, the bureaucrats don't get paid. Let's start with that before we dock the military.
Yeah. Last couple of days, there've been a bunch of things about the president's health check. I, for one, would love, absolutely love, if we're going to talk about the president's health, let's talk about Congress's health, let's talk about the Senate's health. And let's throw in two extra things. One, a psych eval, and two, drug screening. Because I think if we had knowledge of those two things, it would explain a lot of the legislature that's coming out of Congress and the Senate.
Tom, appreciate the call. Thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Liberal Steve joins us now. Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
The Republicans have gone rancid. The R&Rs, the rancid Republicans, trying to blame it on the Democrats because they can't come to a narrow line in the road that would say, okay, we'll do this, you guys do that. Neither side will give. But everyone has been calling in, blaming the Democrats. Come on, it's the Republicans that can't come to the table with a good suggestion and make it happen. And as far as shutdown of the government, has it ever hampered anything when they've shut the government down? No, never. Shuts down nothing but the little poor guy out there that's standing in front of a monument that says, don't come any closer, but you can read it from there. That kind of stuff. It's ridiculous. Using this government shutdown, big deal. Go on vacation, come back, get it right. Period.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that because there will be no Democratic vote on this, it's the Republicans' fault? Shouldn't Democrats care about the guy with the monument or the people that get their checks all the time? Shouldn't they have that compassion? Didn't those people vote for them? Aren't they their constituents?
No, because they're already down at the job service filling out an application for unemployment. They're going to get checks no matter what. Because those are state checks. So they'll be back paid once they get caught up.
Back pay. Tell that to when you go into Winco.
Tell that to who in Winco?
I'll gladly pay you Wednesday for a hamburger today.
The money's going to keep flowing. I mean, this is ridiculous, Kevin, making a big deal out of this.
Maybe you would like to float us a loan.
And what's with Tea Party Bob and his paper he puts out there on his website? Man, he sure slammed your guest you had on the other day, Mark Merkel or whatever his name was.
Oh,
in his Patriot paper.
Mark Meckler, yes, from the...
Yeah. Oh, man. Tea Party Bob just raked him over the coals. Follow the money. Where do they get their money from? Look at who's giving them their money and blah, blah, blah. But it was a good article. I'll have to give Tea Party Bob kudos on that. It was a great article. But
I'm glad to know that you're a reader.
So I read everything, Kevin. I just don't listen to your blogs because your blogs are just... Not your blogs, your podcasts. Your podcast is just repeat from the previous show. Anyway, it's not shutting down.
Why don't we have a liberal Steve shut down?
Well, why don't you get a podcast that's talking about different stuff when you're off the air, and that'd be a good podcast to replay.
Such as, what would be a suggestion?
People could call in off the air and stuff. How about...
I don't know how you would call in on a podcast.
How about that guy from North Dakota that's got all the patents and ready to go with the thing you can attach to your carburetor, whatever, it'll get you 400 times more gas mileage that I sent you the article on. I mean, it's ready to go.
I think you have a future in radio. Maybe you'd like to be the boss here.
Don't pay enough.
You got that? I have to go now. Thank you, sir.
You stay fired up, and if it happens, it happens. It's no big deal. What a big deal is, nuclear war. That's a big deal. Stay fired up.
All right, Rocket Man. Liberal Steve beat me to the punch. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Your thoughts on the possible government shutdown. Look, it's going to cause a lot of pain. The media is going to continue to accentuate that, whether it's true or not, and the Republicans could pay a price. It comes down to where's your principle. We'll discuss that next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Republicans are calling it the Schumer shutdown, but the Senate Minority Leader says he's not going to wear it.
Could get this done in a few short days and not kick the can down the road.
Senator Chuck Schumer called for an extension to get through the weekend. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell not open to that idea.
What our friends on the other side are pushing, not an emergency.
Democrats want protections for illegal immigrants brought here as children. 3 Republicans are also threatening to vote no. The government runs out of money at midnight. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
KIDO Talk Radio time is 8:57. Let's get you to work. And I'm Kevin Miller here. Always appreciate you listening. Don't forget Glenn Beck, Dave Ramsey, Sean Hannity, and the newest addition to the KIDO Talk Radio family, our friend Lars Larson from Portland, Oregon, doing his national show on the issues that matter to you. It was fascinating hearing Lars go toe-to-toe last night talking about the budget. And, of course, keep it here all day long for your updates on whether or not the government will be shut down. It's just silly, ridiculous, and unfortunate that we can't come to an agreement like most successful businesses and every family, whether you're a little kid, whether you're a not-so-little kid. What do we always talk about? You have to have a budget. You have to live within your means. And as I've said for many, many years, we could do a lot if we had Dave Ramsey running the Treasury Department live from Nashville. Ram, outstanding job. Great week as always. Wishing you all the very best. May God bless you and your family, and keep the faith.